So I decided to call this section the sex life of Siddhas. Siddha means somebody who's perfect, somebody who's reached some kind of mastery is a Siddha. So I'm referring to Kardama and Devahuti. And I considered whether or not to name it like that. And I decided to go with it because it's always good to have a little bit of eye-catching, whatever. But also that's what the section is. And it'll probably be over the next 3 parts. You're going to hear about how Kardama and Devahuti make babies. And this is going to be really interesting. So let's get started. So remember yesterday, Kardama agreed to marry Devahuti. Remember, Devahuti's dad came and asked. So now, when saintly Devahuti's parents returned home, she turned her attention to her husband. So it's very interesting. Her nature is very beautiful. Growing up, her first inclination was to care about her parents, and now that the parents are gone, now she cares about her husband. That's what love is. You need somebody to care about. Her affection for him was just like Bhavani's for Bhavam. That means Bhavani is Parvati and Bhavam is Shiva. So the marriage between Devahuti and Kardama, the only comparison to it can be the marriage between Shiva and Parvati. The Shiva and Parvati are really the greatest married couple, the happiest, most happy married couple in the universe. So to say that, to compare anybody's marriage to Shiva Parvati is to say that it's really, really outstanding. She loved him so much that she could anticipate his thoughts. That's what happens when you love somebody. When you love somebody, you start to feel what they feel and think the way they think. So you start to know what's in their mind and you start to know what they're going to do next. If you can't do that with somebody, it means you don't love the person that much. Let's be honest. She loved him so much that she could anticipate his thoughts. And she always strove to supply everything he needed before he needed it. That's love. She expressed her deep love in sweet words and eagerly dedicated herself to him completely with great respect and patience and with the purest heart. She cast off selfishness, pride, animosity, greed, impropriety, and vanity. You see, this is the thing that a yogi does. This is the general principle, is you have to cast off selfishness, pride, animosity, greed, impropriety, vanity. The way that you do it depends on who you are. If you're a young girl who just gets married, you do it in your relationship with your husband. If you're a young man who just gets married, you do it in relationship with your wife. If you're an old man going to the forest, you do it in relationship to all your austerities. But it's the same basic thing. So she cast off selfishness. So the point is, use whatever relationships you're in and whatever situations you're in to practice your spirituality. Don't think that you have to change your situation and your relationships to practice spirituality. Use the things that are happening to you right now to cast off selfishness, to cast off pride, to cast off animosity and greed. Kardama, the greatest of celestial sages. He's a celestial sage because he's not a human. So he doesn't even count as a sage like among humans. Kardama, the greatest of celestial sages, certainly noticed this absolute devotion of the former princess. It's interesting that she's addressed here as the former princess. She's now, so see how much love she has for Kardama. She used to live in a palace. She used to have servants polishing her nails, combing her hair, giving her a bath. Now she's got nothing. She lives with the animals in the forest. And that's how happy she is. She's so dedicated and devoted and happy. So it's even more outstanding that a person that used to live a life of luxury is now living like a yogi, an ascetic, and is completely happy. So Kardama was super impressed. Wow. Vishnu is right. He wasn't joking. This girl is amazing. So he certainly noticed this absolute devotion of the former princess, who had become emaciated and frail as a result of adopting his austere lifestyle. He wanted to grant her a great blessing, greater than anything the gods could bestow. The blessing that you can get from a sadhu is better than the blessing you can get from Indra. And you would probably, pee in your pants if you could meet Indra. You'd be like, oh my God, what to speak of Indra? If you could even meet Barack Obama or Donald Trump, you'd probably be like sweating. You'd probably have like to change your shirt, right? Because wow, this is such a powerful person. But if you meet someone who has knowledge of the absolute, if you meet somebody who understands the Vedas, the blessing, the benefit that you can get from that meeting is so much superior to the benefit that you could get from meeting all the Vladimir Putins and everybody in the world, including up to Agnis and Brahmas and Indras. Because they can give you blessings that the gods can't give you. He wanted to grant her a blessing greater than anything the gods could bestow. Overcome with compassion, he spoke to her in a voice choked with love. Princess, I am so pleased with you, he said. By respectfully attending me with the topmost devotion and love, you've become emaciated. You've forgotten to take care of your own body, which is the dearest thing to an embodied soul. Look at how much you love me. You are not even taking care of your body. But everybody takes care of their body first. I've been busy with my own pursuit of discipline, meditation. So apparently when they first got married, he still had some practices to complete. So he probably wanted to wrap those up. And while he was doing those, she was making sure that he didn't have any distractions or needs. So he said, I've been busy with my own pursuits of self-discipline, meditation, self-knowledge, and yoga. And by the grace of the all-attractive, I have now attained such things. You have served me all this time, so you deserve to attain what I have attained. This is the basic marriage vow in Hindu circles, in Hindu cultures. The basic marriage vow is quite different than the one that we're used to in the West. The basic Hindu marriage vow is whatever I have and whatever I experience. This is the important part. Like whatever joys I experience, whatever happiness and whatever pleasures I experience are half yours. And whatever joys and pleasures and happiness that you experience is half mine. I will not have joys and happinesses and pleasures that are independent from you. So he's saying, I've achieved all this realization and enlightenment, self-understanding. It belongs to you. You helped me get it. So you should have this too. Therefore, I will now bless you with the true vision of reality, devoid of all fear and suffering. No lesser blessing would benefit you, since all other realities disappear when the eyebrows of the all-attractive begin to dance. You have become a perfected soul, so you deserve to enjoy perfection within yourself, a treasure which flees far from those disfigured by the ego of royalty. Now, Devahuti, her reaction is very cool. Her reaction is, that's great, but we have some practical stuff to take care of first. I guess you could say that, Melissa, depending on the type of sadhu, the stage of the advancement. Devahuti was relieved to hear him speak like this, for he was the most expert in knowledge of all aspects of yoga. She was relieved, wow, this guy who knows everything about yoga is going to benedict me to understand yoga. That's amazing. But she became a little shy because it really wasn't the time for her to get completely enlightened by yoga. It's the time to make babies. They got married to make babies. That's the whole point, right? So Devahuti was relieved to hear him speak like this, but affectionate submissiveness overcame her as she blushed shyly and glanced about restlessly with a smile shining from her face. What does that mean? That means, oh, but there's something I don't really want to say right now because it's a little bit embarrassing, but I think you know what I'm thinking about. With her voice choked by emotion, she said, "My great husband, I know for certain that you are the master of flawless yogic powers and have achieved full spiritual realization. Now, let us unite. This will fulfill..." So in other words, you did it. You're done with your yoga practice. Now let's get down to business of why we got married. This will fulfill the promise you made. You made promises to his father and to her father. And if you really want to get onto your yoga thing and to your full realization of your yoga, then you have to fulfill the promise that you made to me, because you said after that, you're going to go to full dedication to the yoga again. So let us now unite. This will fulfill the promise you made and will cause me to become respected as the mother of children who possess your exalted qualities. So she actually came out and said it. This is also a nice quality of sadhus. They speak frankly. They have little need to dance around topics. Both husband and wife, however, were frail from living in extreme humility. Neither was fit for procreation. Right, can you imagine these two yogis living in the forest? Now they're going to have babies? They basically are just skin and bones. Like, how are they going to have babies? How can a woman have a child when she's not healthy, when she's not robust? So, Devahuti requested, "Please use your knowledge and power for some stuff that we need. Please use your knowledge and power." This is like all of the, I don't want to name names, but certain people that do spirituality, they do spirituality, but it's not really spirituality. It's more like magic. You're trying to use mystic powers to have better sex. And you're trying to use mystic powers to be more beautiful and attractive and alluring and have more confidence and control over your career. That's what she's suggesting to her husband right now, is we have some material deeds to do and you have mystic powers. So use your mystic powers for us to accomplish these material deeds. So she says, "Please use your knowledge and powers to make us fit for procreation up to the best standards established by experts on the subject." Experts on the subject. There's always experts on every subject. There's certainly experts on the subject of sex. For example, what's his name now? I can't remember his name. Oh, I can't believe I forgot the name of the author of the Kama Sutra. But everybody, you know him as the author of the Kama Sutra. The famous Vedic experts on sex. So she's referring to scriptures or Vedas like that, and she's saying, let's if we're going to do it, let's do it right. So you can do it. You have all mystic powers. So, restore my emaciated body to a healthy condition, perfect for bearing children. Vatsayana, thank you, Kermit. Vatsayana. We are now living in very poor surroundings. So, you can't raise a family. I mean, you could. Shiva does. But you have to be really, really special to be able to raise a family without a house. So we're just living in the forest. We could use a house. We're going to have kids. So we are now living in very poor surroundings. So please arrange for a suitable house for our family. So she said, make me healthy enough to bear children, really high quality, healthy, and give us a nice house. My mind is elated to anticipate your arrangements. Now let's see how Kardama reacts. Does he say, oh man, these women are always asking me for things. All I want to do is do my yoga, blah, blah, blah. I think I'm going to divorce this lady and go live in a temple. He doesn't say that. Probably 60 to 70% of the so-called spiritual dudes out there would. But Kardama is a real yogi. He doesn't say that. He just got so much. He's so indebted to his wife. He's so indebted to everything that she did to him. At the very least, she deserves everything that he asked for, that she asked for. I'm sorry, you get it? My pronouns were wrong. So, let me turn off sound here. No need for sound. Kardama, happy. How do you feel? If you love somebody and they ask you for something, you feel happy. If somebody asks you for something and you don't feel happy about it, you don't love them that much. So when you actually start to evaluate yourself truthfully and honestly, you will find out that you don't really love anybody except yourself. And that's the whole problem. Thank you, Bara. That's the whole problem. That's the whole avidya. So work on it. Work on it like that. If your child or your spouse or your friend says, can I have a blah, blah, blah? Like, can I have a drink, or can you do this for me? See if there's a way for you to feel happy instead of annoyed or irritated. That'll change your heart. And when your heart changes towards love, then you become more capable of understanding Bhagavan and joy. So Kardama, when requested by Devahuti with no small request, her request is, let's have sex to the highest quality. Explained by the experts, let's have a nice house, too, for our kids. And how does Kardama feel about it? Happy for this opportunity to express his love to his loving wife. Kardama immediately used his mystic powers to create a divine palace that fulfilled all desires and could travel in any direction. So you get some stories of this. This story reflects down in mythology throughout all the world of a flying castle. The original flying castle is here. It's Kardama's house, Devahuti's house, which, by the way, they're going to abandon later. They're not going to stay in it. Devahuti doesn't stay in the palace forever. It's not really to their taste, but while they're going to do this procreation stuff, it's going to be quite to their taste. So he's a great mystic. What's he going to do? He's going to make a place that's better than Indraprasth, or Indra's palace. Happy for this. Yeah, like Laputia. Happy for this opportunity to express his love to his loving wife, Kardama immediately used his mystical powers to create a divine palace that fulfilled all desires and could travel to any destination. It possessed endless supplies of all the jewels and wealth that might be found in paradise. This is what he says. I want to give you a benediction that's better than anything a god could give you. So he manifested a palace that has anything that you could get in paradise, but more of it. So don't think so highly of gods and powerful people. Think more highly of yogis and people who have accomplished overcoming of selfishness and attainment of love. Thank you, Daniel. The climate was controlled. So this palace is climate control. Yogic power can also achieve what air conditioners can achieve. There's a movie out there now called Onward, which is kind of a fun movie. And the premise is that magic was a little too difficult for everybody, so they invented technology to do basically the same stuff. But that's basically the truth. So the climate was controlled and pleasant during any time of year. Silk and cotton flags, festoons, and curtains billowed. while bees buzzed pleasantly around braided strands of flowers. The braided strands of flowers make, like, those bead curtains that hippies love? Well, in India, we make them out of flowers. And Cardamom had them all over the palace. And the bees are not aggressive. You might be like, bees, that doesn't sound very nice. They're just these beautiful, big, fat, black and yellow bees that are not aggressive. And the bee is also a sexual motif because the bee loves the flower and gets intoxicated by the flower. It's like the male-female thing. So whenever you hear in Sanskrit poetry, whenever you get a romantic scene described, you'll hear about a bee. There'll be like two things that you definitely hear about: a breeze and a bee, because both the breeze and the bee is considered sexual motif. Dazzling canopies were decorated with very valuable gold. Many gorgeous sculptures stood here and there on platforms made from coral and excellent emerald. Flocks of swans and doves sang and danced here and there, trying to flirt with the statues of their mates. They had statues of swans and things like that, and they were so lifelike that the animals thought they were real, and everything is sexually charged because it's their procreation palace. So all these animals are also doing sexual things, trying to flirt with each other. Its pillars were adorned with precious stones. Coral thresholds held diamond doors. This is yogic power. This is real yogic power. You get a yogi who can make ash come out of his hand, and then the whole world is like, wow, this guy must be God. Just ash. It's just ash. Or you get a guy who can claim that somebody can get like a jewel in their hand from the guy. A real yogi just makes a palace out of diamonds. Stop pretending that you know this magic power. No, you don't know magic power. This is magic power. Coral thresholds held diamond doors opening into rooms furnished with delightful arrangements of beds, couches, chairs, and fans. The walls had ruby and diamonds arranged to resemble beautiful eyes. The spires rising above the multi-story palace were made of sapphire and crowned with golden globes. Cardamom himself was astonished to behold the craft. With all its delightfully designed parks, chambers, yards, and courtyards. Yet, Devahuti was not completely happy when she saw it. Cardamom, who knows all hearts, knew why. What do you think? Why was Devahuti not happy? She's very happy, but why is she not completely happy? Why is there a little portion of apprehension or sadness in Devahuti seeing this beautiful, incredibly gorgeous place? It's like, imagine if Las Vegas was real. All that fake stuff in Las Vegas, imagine if it was real. Why is she not happy? What do you think? See if you could have a heart that's anything similar to Devahuti's, and you could guess what she feels like. Waiting for the lag. I just got a lull. You got any guesses why she feels unhappy? She's not unhappy, but why she feels something is not right. She feels like no. Don't rush. No. No. You don't get it. How would you feel? You're just not visioning it. If you envision the story properly, it'll be obvious. If you're a mess and somebody says, let's go to this beautiful place, I got us tickets to this beautiful place, you'll be like, yeah, but I just have like jeans with like sauce stains on them, right? You guys are ridiculous. No, you guys are so ridiculous. You cannot. This is what the thing is. You just put yourself in the story. You're philosophizing and theorizing about so much stuff. She just thinks I'm a mess. My hair is dreadlocks, and it ain't even like beauty salon dreadlocks. It's the real deal. I have no more fat in my breasts. My hips look like skeletons. My clothes are ripped. If I look bad enough here in the forest, if I go there, I'm going to look like the worst thing ever. So that's what she feels like. Kardama, who knew all hearts, knew why. She felt unfit to live in such a beautiful place. Though she was pretty close, Prakriti. Though she was naturally lotus-eyed and beautiful, her breasts and body were caked with dust. Her hair was ruined and matted, and her clothes were worn thin. Oh, hesitant lady, he said, reassuring. Before ascending into this palace, please bathe in this sacred lake created by Shukla. It's the Bindu, remember the Bindu Sarovar that Shukla created by his tears of compassion? This lake fulfills all desires. Go bathe in this lake. Before you go, you're hesitant to go up there. Before you go up there, you need to take a bath. That's all. And bathe in this lake here. It's a magic lake. So now let's see what happens when she goes in the lake. We'll cover that part, and that'll be the end of part 1 for today. Yes. Devahuti. Following her husband's suggestion, Devahuti entered the lake, which contains the auspicious waters of Sarswati River. And I think Sarswati is inaccessible now. I'm not sure. Somebody that knows Indian geography can correct me, but I think it's receded underground. But it used to be a very important river like Ganga and Yamuna. And so that's where they had their ashram. So she went into this Sarswati Lake. In it, what did she see in this lake? This is also, there's a Japanese tale about something similar to this, about these beautiful places that are under the sea. So when she went inside the lake, she opened her eyes. When she opened her eyes inside the water, she saw that there was a room. There was like a building down there. And so she went in it. And when she went in it, she found 1,000 youthful maidens, each as fragrant as a lotus flower. When they saw her, they immediately stood up, folded their hands, and said, "We are your maids. Please tell us what we can do for you." Those heavenly maids were Vidyadhari, with superhuman expertise in the arts. Remember, you heard about Vidyadhara, the Apsaras and the Gandharvas and the Vidyadharas. They're kind of one similar class of divine being that are expert in fashion, cosmetics, art, music, dance, all those things. So Kardama brought them to serve his wife. Hundreds of them to serve his wife. They bathed, so it's like, the most expert salon you could possibly get. They bathed the most respectable Devahuti in very valuable oils, carefully dressed her in spotless silk cloth, decorated her with resplendent and incalculably priceless jewelry, and fed her the most healthy and delicious food and drinks, including a powerful elixir of fertility known as asavam. When the maidens very respectfully brought a mirror, after they did all their work, the maidens respectfully brought a mirror. Devahuti saw, this is actually a custom. Anyway, when the maidens very respectfully brought a mirror, Devahuti saw her effulgent body bedecked with jewelry and dazzling clothing and decorated with auspicious designs. Even decorated with auspicious designs is very important. Even her hopelessly matted hair was restored to glossy beauty. Every part of her body was ornamented. Every part of the body was ornamented. It's like to the teeth. But taste. On her hips was a golden, every part, right? On her wrists were bracelets. On her neck was a medallion and a pearl necklace. On her ankles were tinkling golden ankle bells. Super important. She wore fine on her hips a golden belt with many jewels. She wore fine cosmetics and her face beamed with beautiful teeth and eyebrows. Her lovely eyes glanced sideways, defeating the beauty of budding lotuses. Her curls of hair were like dark emerald. Can you imagine, Simone? It's like imagine if you could go to heaven for a spa. That's what she got here. Now, after she saw herself, what did she think of? Who would you think of if you see yourself looking really beautiful? Depends on your heart. You probably might only think of yourself, but probably you're going to think about who's going to see me. This is why people do selfies, because there's no point to looking good if nobody sees you. At least at the very least you see yourself, but that doesn't cut it. Consciousness wants relationship. So when you look good, you want somebody to see you. So when Devahuti saw herself, she thought, where's my husband? And then, as soon as she thought of him, she teleported to him. These are yogis. She thought of her beloved husband, the best of sages, and immediately she found herself at his side, along with all the young ladies. All of the maids and her teleported. Seeing herself next to her husband and surrounded by 1,000 young women, she became completely amazed by the extent of his mystic powers. Even she was amazed. So even for that day and age, when mystic powers were frequently mastered, Kardama was unprecedented in the extent to which he had mastery over the mystic cities. Simone says, Hudby is going to be pleased. Let's see how pleased he is. Kardama became struck with emotion when he saw his wife restored to her true beauty. See, this is what it is, really. People who are either rude, just plain rude, or just don't understand things, they think that it's artificial beauty when you comb your hair or when you put on lipstick. It's not artificial beauty. You're bringing out the true beauty. That's how he felt when he saw her. Finally, but with the help of the Vidyadharis, the true beauty of my wife is now visible. So he became struck with emotion when he saw his wife restored to her true beauty, dazzlingly clean. One of the most important things about beauty is to be clean. In fact, in Japan, one of the words that works as beautiful is kire, which is the word that literally means clean. Karma became struck with emotion when he saw his wife restored to her true beauty, dazzlingly clean, her splendid breasts perfectly accentuated by clothing arranged by thousands of expert maiden Vidyadhari. He brought her into the amazing palace, which ascended into the sky. Seated together and attended by all these celestial maidens who looked like fields of blossoming white lilies, he seemed like the sky's husband, the moon, surrounded by hundreds of stars. And then the final paragraph for today, no one should imagine his spiritual magnificence is at all diminished by his profound affection for his beloved wife, because this is also one of the rude things that foolish people do when they hear stuff like this. They're so attached to their idea that women are bad, and love is bad, and sex is bad, and life is bad, and the world is bad, and flesh is evil, that even when they hear a story like this, they'll come up with all this BS interpretation of it. That Kardama has had a little bit of a flaw, blah, 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 blah. And, now his spiritual power. So the narrator, who is it narrating right now? Maitreya. Maitreya stops to make a point so that it gets preserved. Or whether it's Maitreya or it could be anybody who's involved in the story, Sutta. How deep down are we into the story? Sutta, Shuka, Maitreya. One of these exalted speakers made a point here. Make sure you don't think doing any of these things is in any way inappropriate for the yogi. For Kardama, this is completely appropriate and completely glorious. All right, so that'll be the end. Wow. It's really only 35 minutes. I mean, that's Miss Vinay says he's so considerate. So is she. Probably she's even, I don't know, so is she. So that's just what love is. Love is considerate. If you're not considerate, you're just not in love. Like, you just have to stop thinking, I'm in love, but. No, it's not that you're in love. You're not in love. The but part means that you're not in love. So stop denigrating the whole concept of love by saying that you're in love, but. And work on that. You get your head fixed on what the real problem is. When you say I'm in love, but blah, 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 then you think the blah, blah, blah is the problem. The blah, blah, blah is not the problem. It's the symptom. The real problem is there's no love. We don't even know, comprehend. We don't even have never experienced. There's one thing left in the universe that you have never experienced in all of your births. There's only one thing left. And that's love. True love, true bhakti. It's the only thing in the whole universe that you have not experienced. And the reason why I can tell you that is because if you did experience, you wouldn't be here anymore. You'd be in the world of love. You'd be sucked into it like a black hole. So who cares about whether or not you can achieve anything else in your life? You've already achieved it 1 billion times, uncountable times, and been disappointed by it. The only real thing to try to achieve is to even comprehend what love really is. And that's what the Bhagavatam is just showing you, whether it's Devahuti and her husband, or whether it's directly Kardama with Shukla or whatever. It's just showing again and again and again and again illustrations of love. Can we fall, Jason, can we fall in love with someone we think we don't love, but you feel indebted to? You try to study love first. Not all love is romantic. If you feel indebted towards somebody, that's called priti or dasya bhava. And that's a type of love. Can you engineer love? You can't. Love is the spontaneous. You can't make yourself fall in love with somebody. All you do is you purify your heart, and then love can. What does it say, like when an army comes in and takes over a country? Occupy? Like an army coming in and taking over a country that didn't belong to it. That's what love will do to a heart which is pure. So, trying to think of how am I going to fall in love with this person? It's not that person. It doesn't matter who that person is. What it's you. When your heart is clean, then love is going to want it. And then love is going to take it. Then you'll be in love with everybody all the time. So, yeah, okay, so why don't we just read a little bit more and we'll get right up to the nitty-gritty stuff for tomorrow. And it's not like there's going to be explicit details or anything, but there's one little amazing point that is revealed that we need to say for tomorrow. But I'll just give you like one more paragraph. This section is called Travels of the Flying Palace. Kardama. So yeah, here we go. Kardama took the palace to the pleasure gardens of the gods in the valley of Mount Meru. Also, if you want to be an ideal woman, then think about Devahuti and try to emulate her heart. And if you want to be an ideal man, heart and behavior, then think about Kardama and try to emulate his heart and behavior. And down to the details of the practical details of sexual relationship. So just think about what he's doing first. all the things that he's doing first: atmosphere, location, place, caring about the individual and their condition. Now, kind of creating a sense of awe and openness. That's what he's doing now. Kardama took the palace to the pleasure gardens of the gods in the valleys of Mount Meru, Nandakanan, something like that it's called. The gods have this place, which is like their park, and Kardama took his palace there and parked it there. Gods can't complain. They can't give him a speeding ticket or a parking ticket. He's Kardama. He's a yogi. He's superior to them. So he took the palace to the pleasure gardens of the gods in the valleys of Mount Meru, where beautiful breezes befriend the skin. There, amidst the auspicious sound of waterfall in the sacred Ganges. So the Ganges flows through this park, and it's got beautiful waterfalls. Why breezes? Because breeze, remember wind? In the creation of the universe, the wind element is responsible for the tactile sensation. That's why you always have wind described in a romantic setting. So there, amidst the sound of waterfall in the sacred Ganges, he enjoyed life for a long time. Why rush? Take it easy. Enjoy life. Enjoy it. Like the treasure of paradise in celestial gardens, surrounded by damsels and delighting in the love of his beloved. His resplendent and amazing palace belittled all others. When Kardama's palace came to the heavens, it belittled the heavens. His resplendent and amazing palace belittled all others, and it moved at will through the world as effortlessly as the breeze. It sounds fanciful. This narrator, Maitreya himself, says this sounds like a fantasy story, like a fairy tale, but nothing is difficult for those whose consciousness is unlimited. Set free by finding shelter at the feet of the most sacred being who overcomes all limitations. Kardama brought his wife all over the globe. Actually, the word is used, a globe. So here's a reference to the earth as a globe. I don't know why they happen to toss it in here. It's not like it's in a section about the geography of the earth or anything, but it's just referencing the earth as a globe. Kardama brought his wife all over the globe. It's called a golam. Globe. The word globe is cognate with the Sanskrit word gola. Showing her all the great wonders of the earth. Bam! Not only so he took her up to the paradisic realm of the gods, and then he took her back down to the earth and went all over the globe and showed her, wow, look over here at the deserts of blah, 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 and look over here at the South Pole, and look over here. Let's go see this plains of the whatever over here in this continent, all over the place. Then the great yogi brought her back to their own ashram. Now let's go back to our spot. He took the palace back to the ashram. Yeah, I did think of Howl's Moving Castle too. All right, so there, we're done. We're done for today because now the next phase is going to start. But let me just read you the first sentence of the next section so you understand the practical instruction here. The next sentence is, having excited that great woman's desires and enthusiasm to the utmost. That's what all this stuff is about. That's what the palace is about. That's what the traveling is about. That's what all the beauty is about. All right, guys. So tomorrow will be Sex Life of the Siddhas, Part 2. The actual stuff. How long is it? It's actually quite short. But there's one point that maybe we'll discuss for a while. How to forgive ourselves. There's no need to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Everybody is screwed up. You don't even need to forgive yourself. It's like saying, how do you forgive a circle for being round? It's just what it is. What is there to forgive? We're full of ignorance and we do stupid things all the time. It's not even like forgiveness. Don't even worry about that. Thank you, everybody. Actually, I'm super grateful to you guys for giving me the chance to do this. What we're going to do is, I actually have most of part 4 also translated, but not released. So we'll read up to that, and then eventually when we get to the spot where my translations are done, we'll switch from a daily format to a weekly format, because I'll be translating through the week. But it'll be kind of more exciting because you'll just be getting it fresh out of the udder. Okay, thank you. Haribol.